Hey guys, Second Double A here, and welcome back to the 78 Days of Halloween. 2 years running. Good job, me. Anyway, so this is a return to form of sorts, because I used to do these a lot. I used to call these Crappypastas, where I would intentionally look for bad things. But now I'm going to look for good, bad, I don't care. I'm just going to look for video game creepypastas. And I'm gonna do a nice reading. It'll be super gentle, easy to fall asleep to if you want. And then I'll review them at the end and decide whether they are creepy or crappy. That's the name of the segment. Now you know. And I'm not scripting these. I'm just gonna read the pasta and then I'll shoot off the cuff and decide on the spot whether it's creepy or crappy. I believe that's all I want to say. So, I hope you enjoy. This one is Pokémon Black. No, not the video game from like 2006 or 2008 or whenever. This came out several months or maybe even a year plus before that. I'm what you could call a collector of bootleg Pokémon games. Pokémon Diamond and Jade, Chaos Black, etc. It's amazing the frequency with which you can find them at pawn shops, Goodwill, flea markets, and such. They're generally fun, even if they are unplayable, which they often are. The mistranslations and poor quality make them unintentionally humorous. I've been able to find most of the ones that I've played online, but there's one that I haven't seen any mention of. I bought it at a flea market about 5 years ago. Here's a picture of the cartridge in case anyone recognizes it. Unfortunately, when I moved 2 years ago I lost the game, so I can't provide you with screen caps. Sorry. The game started with the familiar Nidorino and Gengar intro of Red and Blue version, however the press start screen had been altered. Red was there, but the Pokémon did not cycle through. It also said Black version under the Pokémon logo. Upon selecting New Game, the game started the Professor Oak speech, and it quickly became evident that the game was essentially Pokémon Red version. After selecting your starter, if you looked at your Pokémon, you had in addition to Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, another Pokémon. Ghost. The Pokémon was level 1. It had the sprite of the ghosts that are encountered in Lavender Tower before obtaining the Sylph Scope. It had one attack, Curse. I know that there is a real move called Curse, but the attack did not exist in Generation 1, so it appears it was hacked in. Defending Pokémon were unable to attack Ghost. It would only say they were too scared to move. When the move Curse was used in battle, the screen would cut to black. The cry of the defending Pokémon would be heard, but it was distorted, played at a much lower pitch than normal. The battle screen would then reappear, and the defending Pokémon would be gone. If used in a battle against a trainer, when the Pokéballs representing their Pokémon would appear in the corner, they would have one fewer Pokéball. The implication was that the Pokémon died. What's even stranger is that after defeating a trainer and seeing Red received 200 Pokéyen for winning, the battle commands would appear again. If you selected Run, the battle would end as it normally does. You could also select Curse. If you did, upon returning to the overworld, the trainer's sprite would be gone. After leaving and re-entering the area, the spot where the trainer had been would be replaced with a tombstone like the ones at Lavender Tower. The move Curse was not usable in all instances. It would fail against Ghost Pokémon. It would also fail if it was used against trainers that you would have to face again, such as your rival or Giovanni. It was usable in your final battle against them, however. I figured this was the gimmick of the game, allowing you to use the previously uncapturable ghosts, and because Curse made the game so easy, I essentially used it throughout the whole adventure. The game changed quite a bit after defeating the Elite Four. After viewing the Hall of Fame, which consisted of Ghost and a couple of Pokémon I used for HMs, the screen cut to black. A box appeared with the words, "Many years later." It then cut to Lavender Tower. An old man was standing, looking at tombstones. I then realized this man was my character. The man moved at only half of the normal walking speed. I no longer had any Pokémon with me, not even Ghost, who up to this point had been impossible to remove from my party through depositing in the PC. The overworld was entirely empty. There were no people at all. There were still the tombstones of the trainers that I had used Curse on, however. I could go pretty much anywhere in the overworld at this point, though my movement was limited by the fact that I had no Pokémon to use HMs. and regardless of where I went, the music of Lavender Town continued on an infinite loop. After wandering for a while, I found that if I went through Diglett's cave, one of the cuttable bushes that normally blocks the path on the other side was no longer there, allowing me to advance and return to Pallet Town. Upon entering the house and going to the exact tile where you start the game, the screen cut to black. Then a sprite of a Caterpie appeared. It was replaced by a Weedle and then a Pidgey. I soon realized as the Pokemon progressed from Rattata to Blastoise that these were all the Pokemon I had used Curse on. After the end of my rival's team, a youngster appeared and then a Bugcatcher. These were the trainers I had cursed. Throughout the sequence, the Lavender Town music was playing, but it was slowly decreasing in pitch. By the time the rival appeared on screen, it was little more than a demonic rumble. Another cut to black. A few moments later, the battle screen suddenly appeared. The trainer sprite was now that of an old man, the same one as the one who teaches you how to catch Pokemon in Viridian City. Ghost appeared on the other side along with the words, "Ghost wants to fight." I couldn't use items and I had no Pokemon. If I tried to run, I couldn't escape. The only option was fight. Using fight would immediately cause me to use struggle, which didn't affect Ghost but did chip off a bit of my own HP. When it was Ghost's turn to attack, it would simply say, ellipses. Eventually, when my HP reached a critical point, Ghost would finally use Curse. The screen cut to black a final time. Regardless of the buttons I pressed, I was permanently stuck in this black screen. At this point, the only thing I could do was turn the Game Boy off. When I played again, New Game was the only option. The game had erased the file. I played through this hacked game many times, and every time the game ended with this sequence. Several times I didn't use Ghost at all, though he was impossible to remove from the party. In these cases, it did not show any Pokemon or trainers and simply cut to the climactic battle with Ghost. I'm not sure what the motives were behind the creator of this hack. It wasn't widely distributed, so presumably not for monetary gain. It was very well done for a bootleg. It seems he was trying to convey a message, though it seems I am the sole receiver of this message. I'm not entirely sure what it was. The inevitability of death? The pointlessness of it? Perhaps he was simply trying to morbidly inject death and darkness into a children's game. Regardless, this children's game has made me think, and it has made me cry. And that was Pokemon Black. So let's go through my new criteria for what I'm calling creepy or crappy. Alright, as you might be able to tell, I'm not scripting these videos, editing takes forever, and these are just fun little extra Halloween things, you know? So anyway, first off, did it happen? Probably not. Probably not. It could have happened. And that's the question. That's the second criteria. Could it happen? The game's not haunted. It's just a ROM hack put onto a cartridge. And you've been watching this whole time. If you've been looking at the screen, you have been watching me play this game. Like, it's a fan recreation, I'm fairly certain. But it is an actual ROM hack that is Pokemon. I live on the highway, guys. I don't know if you heard that, but that was annoying. I'll cut it if you didn't. Anyway, it is a ROM hack of Pokemon Red. Simple as that. It easily could happen, though ROM hacking tools weren't nearly as common, like as good for original Game Boy games back then. It absolutely could have happened. He points out things like Pokemon Chaos Black, which was a Fire Red ROM hack. Terrible game, by the way. Terrible. So it absolutely could be that it's real. But did it happen? Probably not. And that's based on a few small things, like, oh, I didn't think to take any pictures and I lost it 2 years ago. Like, why not? If you played it a bunch of times, many times, as you said, how could you not have taken a single picture? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, and so But it could have happened. This sounds like a 4chan post. It probably was. Either as the start of an ARG that never took off, or something. Maybe he actually was just looking for the, see if anyone else had seen that cartridge. Who knows? However, it probably didn't happen. Now, on a scary factor, this story gave me nightmares when I was a wee lad. But, like, now, it's not scary. Someone just injected death into Pokemon. Ooh. But it's interesting, for sure. And writing-wise, it's bad. It's written very poorly. It's constantly switching perspectives from first to third person. There's a lot of, or I guess that's second person, but there's, like, it most of the time is I, but then suddenly it'll switch to you. It's all about you all of a sudden. It's like, I didn't play this. What are you talking about? Well, I did. What are you talking about? But the switching back and forth is really annoying, and it made it so it took me like twice as long to record this as it took to, like, listen to it. But there's no typos. Aside from I and you could be a typo, I guess. Grammatical errors, it's just that. So written badly, but like not as badly as some other things I've read on here. Or that I will read later this month. Or next month. 78 days. I'll still give it a creepy. Between creepy and crappy, it's a lot closer to creepy. I don't know why it made someone cry. But you know what? It made me cry when I was a kid, too. But I think the person who wrote it is supposed to be an adult. I don't know. But all I know is creepy. I'm gonna say creepy. That is all. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. I know this is a little different from what I've been doing lately, but I promise there's more of what I've been doing, quote-unquote, lately. It's been a while. Sorry. Coming down the pipeline. Ooh, the new Indigo Park is coming soon. Anyway, but I have another challenge video that's been sitting on the back burner for 3 months, and I'm halfway through rewriting the script. 3 months? 2 years? Why'd I say 3 months? Yeah. I'm rewriting the script for the 4th time because I lost all of my files, because my old PC died. So expect that at some point. In the meantime, thank you guys again. And I'll see you later. Goodbye, everyone. Happy 78 days of Halloween.